Hey guys, Nick here, and today we will be seeing if Negan going in the place of Henry to get Lydia back will serve more good than harm, and with Daryl and Connie helping, or if this is just putting Negan in a bad place. This is part 22 to What If Rick Spared Shane, the awesome remake, my longest series on the channel ever. Speaking of him, Shane is now no longer with us, dying in the last part to the likes of the Whisperers at the cemetery in the place of Jesus, living much longer than any rendition of him that I have ever made possible, unless you want to count What If Shane Killed Rick, in which I made him live to the Whisperer saga. It's just that I wanted him to be better than my original What If Rick Spared Shane, because, that series wasn't the greatest whenever paying attention to detail, as I've mentioned before, hence the remake. But with how I made the story, this felt like a proper place to end Shane's part. But anyways, aside from that, I hope that you guys enjoyed the time when he was around. Now let's resume the story. Now, Negan encounters Beta the same way that he did, or rather, Henry did, whenever he went to go rescue Lydia. Because I can't really make Negan meet Beta the same way he did, because it just doesn't fit for right now. Anyways, whenever Negan is captured by Beta, because Negan does put up a fight, but he's still apprehended by Beta, Lydia sees him and is happy to see him, but she has to put up an act for Alpha, because like with Henry, she can't let him know that she likes him. Except here, with Negan, it's not so much a love quarrel as it is a like quarrel, because, you're not going to get in love with Negan. There was never any kind of romance between the two. It was just Lydia looked up to Negan, for the most part. Anyways, Connie, with her smart thinking, does the things she does in the original, and draws the walkers into the Whisperer camp, allowing both herself and Daryl to not only rescue Negan, but Lydia too, because that's the whole reason that they came here in the first place. Now, once they get to the building that all of them got to in the original, minus Henry, Negan and Daryl both come up with a plan for one of them to get Beta all on his own, and then the other to come out from behind a wall or something and totally take the fight over. Meaning that Negan and Daryl are going to have a fight sequence much better than they did in the original Season 10. Spoiler alert. Whenever the Whisperers are killed that are upstairs along with Beta, Negan takes the opportunity, and Beta isn't the one who does the sneak attack. Negan is. And this starts a fight sequence similar to how we saw Negan fight Beta in the comics. I know I don't pay attention to the comics that much, but I know a bit about them to make important details matter from them. Anyways, Negan and Beta fight like they did in the comics, even going to the point of Negan getting Beta to the ground and slapping him over and over again with his bat. I say slapping, I say smashing with his bat. It sounds more right. And unfortunately, since his bat was still lit on fire and still out in the open for so many years, even though it wasn't buried, it does break here, like it does in the comics. Upsetting Negan, but I feel way less so than his comic counterpart, because Negan's more or less so been redeemed here. Beta is just about to kill Negan, even though he's quite injured and beat from getting smashed down with a bat. But just before he can even think about stabbing Negan, Daryl does exactly what he does in Season 10, slices Beta's chest, and then stabs him straight through both of his eyes with his knives. I said that the fight sequence would be different. I meant that for the most part. but the ending result is the same, except it's a season early. So, yeah. Anyways, with Beta stabbed in both of his eyes, obviously, and being sliced and beat down with a bat, Negan and Daryl both take this opportunity to grab him, and the nearest window that they see, they break it and throw Beta straight out into the Horde. Meaning, this is the end of Beta. If the fall didn't kill him, the zombies did. So, yeah, Beta gets killed a season early. So, I've done that before, but Alpha is still around. And she is not going to be too happy when she sees that Beta's never coming back. I've never had a situation like this, but this is going to stir up trouble here real soon. How so? Well, if you guys don't know, a specific scene's about to turn up. But I'm not going to spoil anything big just yet. Anyways, side note, the kingdom is still around because it never got to the point where it needed true fixing, and honestly, the saviors never came and attacked it. It's a much better place to be. So, that whole winter sequence, spoiler alert, is not going to happen because the kingdom's still in good working condition. Anyways, Alpha still disguises herself and has that talk with Ezekiel, tries to kidnap Lydia, says no, and pretty much all that goes on there goes the same. Except the people who get kidnapped by Alpha are going to be different. The people who got kidnapped and taken to her camp are Rick, Negan, Michonne, Daryl, Lori, and Carol. Except for the fact that Daryl, Carol, and Michonne are there, we have the entrances, or rather added spots, of Rick, Negan, and Lori. And I think you guys are starting to pick up what I'm putting down about a certain scene coming up. Rick is the one who's taken away by Alpha, because I feel that Daryl in this situation, it wouldn't really matter here, because Rick's around. I feel that she would just kidnap him, especially after the threats that he made and the fact that his best friend was offed by their people. It just feels right for Rick to be the one to be taken away. Anyways, whenever Alpha takes him up to the mountain, Rick sees for himself why these people have lived for so long. The ginormous horde of Alpha. And they have a talk similar to how Daryl and Alpha did, except it's different with the likes of Rick. And Alpha announces the border to the north and all of that, and they'll see it on their way to leave. They see Sadiq, who is still around, by the way, and he says himself that he can't even say what he wants to because he's just so upset. And the group has no idea what he's talking about. But soon enough, they got up to where the border is, and a few of their friends' particular heads, who died this time, which is what I was talking about for half the episode, the Pike scene. And the victims, sadly, are Andrea, T-Dog, Tyrese, Spencer, Enid, Benjamin, Adney, Rodney, Sam, and Ken. I might have got one of the two minor people's heads mixed up, either the girl with the glasses or the boy in the black hair. If I did miss that up, Adney and Rodney, I don't know how both their names are said. I know I got one of them right, but yeah. Most of these people on this list have lived far longer than any time that I have made them. Morales and Richard are extra victims. And yeah, like I said, I have made a bunch of these characters live longer than any version of them that I've ever. Now, why are Morales and Richard extra victims on the Pike? Well, Beta. Because I feel that with Beta being dead, and Alpha eventually figuring out about it, and everything boiling up to the fact that she can't get Lydia back, it would all make her realize that in order to truly make sure that these people respect her and listen to her, she needs to avenge the death of Beta by taking 12 total victims. And that's what she did. Rick is now more determined than ever to put Alpha and her people down. Not only with the fact that the horde that they have is a great, great threat, but the fact that Shane is dead and just Alpha's gotten away with way too much. Carl is also mad at the fact of not only Shane, but Enid, because remember, Enid was part of the Pike scene. So yeah, Carl isn't exactly going to be the happiest about that. So he's all in for the plan to kill Alpha too. Michonne is also pretty angry and unhappy about this, because she was in love with frickin' Shane for the good foreseeable part of my series, and the fact that Andrea was killed far later than any version of her, which I've mentioned before. Sasha is also very upset because Tyrese has just now died. So yeah, he's lived up kind of longer than his previous counterpart from What If Lori Survived and What If Amy Survived, but you get the point. Rosita's upset because of Spencer, Morgan because of Benjamin, and Jessie actually gets to matter for the first time in the series, showing her determination for wanting to kill Alpha after what she did to Sam, because that was her only family, her only son, her only part of her family, and now he's gone. Now, Carol and Ezekiel are upset about the death of Benjamin, yes, but compared to everyone else's anger, I feel that Carol won't be balls to the walls crazy, and Ezekiel will still be very upset about this, but now his hatred is directed towards Alpha, and the fact that Henry's still around, so that makes up for any loss of control that Carol has, for example. Now, with all of these people angry and wanting to go after Alpha's head, does she and the Whisperers even have a chance, especially since Beta's gone? Or is the Whisperer saga just going to be a complete run-out for the rest of the series? And that's where we leave things for the moment. Hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and the fact that Shane is not around. Well, I mean, he wasn't around for the last episode, but for you guys having to deal with the fact that he's not around anymore, I hope that you guys enjoyed. And leave a comment on what you think is going to happen for the foreseeable future of the series. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.